Ladies and gentlemen, a brand new event for Escape from Tarkov is finally here, and it is a brand new one, the Arms Race quest line. And there are quite a few quests, and we're going to cover every single one of them so you know exactly what you need to do both at the beginning and at the end, and running through each of the quests to give you a brief overview of what is actually part of this new series and the rewards that you get as part of it. And of course, it's something, if you play PvE or PvP, it's available to both versions of the game. And of course, this is going to give you quite a few extra rewards alongside a ton, and I mean a ton of XP. If you're on the lower side of the levels in PvE mode, now is a brilliant time to both learn some of the maps that this is going to give you, as well as give yourself a bit of a challenge in order to complete this event. So with that out of the way, of course, if you want to see more Tarkov content, make sure to subscribe, and most importantly, like the video if you haven't already. But let's start off with the first quest in this quest line. It's Import Control. Now, Import Control is essentially eliminating 10 scavs on factory and handing over 5 found in raid Western scav weapons. So the actual Western scav weapons, these come in as a form of additional weapon that you can actually just get from the actual raids themselves. All of the scavs will have a chance at spawning with an almost destroyed Western scav weapon. So these are similar to what you would see on the rogues or the raiders, and they work pretty much the same way. And of course, you can farm up scavs to make a ton of money, and when you are playing factory, for example, it should be pretty easy to do this. Now, Tagilla is pretty much 100% spawn rate on factory, so if you are playing, be aware of that. But it shouldn't be too difficult to take out 10 scavs, and as long as you got the factory key, you should be more than okay in order to actually complete this. So realistically, a very easy task to begin with, and really just relies on you just playing the game. And in terms of the rewards that you get, it's pretty decent as well. 64,500 XP, which is pretty decent. I mean, at the lower levels, it doesn't actually scale with your level. It's just a flat amount. So if you're level like 10, you could go up multiple levels just from completing one quest. So it's a really good way to actually get back into PvE if you haven't played in a while. And given the fact that they've now removed all of the bugs, or at least so far that we know of, until they come along and someone finds out a way to somehow get back the no AI raids, that's what we've got at the moment. Now, mechanic rep is, of course, plus 0.02, so a decent amount of rep, but you get 110,000 rubles. And for those of you playing PvE right now, the 3 military power filters, these are massive. These are worth, 8 million rubles plus at the moment, or at least before the event went live, which is huge for anyone that is trying to grind out some of the hideout requirements for various different areas of the hideout. So very, very easy piece of a beginning one. And you can see here, the Western calibers are 300 Blackout, 357 Magnum, Lapua, 45 ACP, HK, NATO rounds, 556, 762, etc. And so all of those are available. And you can get a variety of different weapons within the raid. So once you complete this quest, which should be pretty easy, you move on to What's Your Evidence. Now, What's Your Evidence has essentially a similar sort of requirement, which is hand over the 10 Western scav weapons with very low durability. It's an easy one. You should have been able to farm up quite a few just by playing the game as normal. You get 72,600 XP. You get 3 or 0.03 Peacekeeper rep as well, which is fantastic, alongside some dollars and military circuit boards, military flash drives, which is also a nice little addition as well. So pretty much a self-explanatory one there, and yeah, just a very nice way to farm up, between the two quests, like 130,000 XP for playing just the game normally, basically. Then we've got Caught Red-Handed. Now, this quest is essentially a bit of an interesting one, and if you haven't already watched my video on how to take out the rogues, especially on PvE, if you are a PvE player and you're wondering how can I get into the water treatment plant, because this is going to require it, that video, which I'll link at the end of this one and also put it in the description for those of you that are wondering, that one will cover how you can take out the rogues really easily on PvE, and hopefully not get ganked by a load of goons that are just going to rock up and try and ruin your day. But essentially, it's a pretty bog standard method. You just sit back with the sniper and take out all of the goons from all of the rogues from a decent distance away. You can use a sniper, you can use an AR, you can use whatever you want to use, as long as you got a decent scope and the ability to actually hit them with some semi fast firing rounds that don't have a huge amount of bullet drop. Will definitely help you out. So I'd highly recommend watching that video if you want to be able to take out the water treatment plant. Or there's also an other rogue farming method, or at least a rogue pathing method that you can use as well, that I'll link as well in the description. So essentially all you have to do is stash some Wi-Fi cameras in the first, second and third water treatment plant buildings at the entrance. So this shouldn't be too difficult, but you can see where the locations are. This is the first one by the boxes. You've got this kind of crate in front of the second one, and then you've got this kind of area over here just by where you can enter in. Often a lot of this, when you play scavs on PvE, they usually come in through this entrance over here, but it's over here. So not a too difficult of one once you've taken out the rogues, but of course it's going to be a bit of a pain for a lot of you to actually complete if you haven't played a lot of Lighthouse, and certainly if you haven't played a lot of Lighthouse actually trying to get into the water treatment plant. That is definitely going to be a bit of a pain. But you do get rewarded with a 52,400 XP bonus with some Peacekeeper rep. You get $1,000. You get yourself a Gen 4 body armor. You get a SIG MCX spear. You get yourself 3 AR-10 7.62 round magazines, which are these ones right here. I mean, they're not particularly expensive, but there you go. And then you've got a SIG hybrid as well, which is essentially the ammunition. And yeah, not particularly anything crazy, and considering ammunition goes so quickly, 80 rounds, nothing spectacular, but it should be one that most people with enough patience and time and willingness to try out a more challenging task will be able to do. So hopefully you check out those videos and it should make it a little bit easier. I'm not guaranteeing that you will do it first time, but it should definitely help out. Then we've got a lead on to 2 quests. So it leads on to risks of small businesses and protection of interest. Now, risks of small businesses, you can either take out the boss's guards, which are Bazmak and Gus. They're kind of like mini bosses, I guess, that follow around Caban on the on Lexos, essentially, or the car dealership, or whatever you want to call it, essentially. But it's on streets of Tarkov, so you have to play streets. Of course, it's server side if you're playing PvE, and if you're playing PvP, I mean, it's just as normal. But you can take out either taking out both of them, so Bazmak and Gus, or you can take out 3 PMCs in that area. Now, whichever one that you do, of course, gives you different kind of rewards that you actually end up getting. For example, the risk of small business will give you 4 intelligence folders with 82,300 XP, some Peacekeeper rep and $2,200, whereas the protection of interest, which is the PMC one, will give you 4 hatchling moonshines, some rubles, and of course some Prapor rep and 82,300 XP. The PMC one's probably going to be the easiest one to do, to be honest, for a lot of people. Obviously, depending on which one you want to try and do, then it's up to you. But most people may even end up doing the PMC one by accident. So just be aware of that, that you want to really be targeting the boss if possible, and his guards, and of course Bazmak and Gus. So anyway, moving on, we then have the final one, which comes from risk of small business. So this is one that comes off of that, and then there's also one that comes off of protection of interest. So it's kind of a divergent quest line, so you can choose which side you want to go. And the Western Quality Standards, which is a new quest that comes off of the risks of small business. So the essentially the one where you can get yourself intel folders. You can get yourself 102,900 XP and eliminate as many targets as possible whilst using Western weapons. So you can do that. And then that will give you 102,900 XP, some Peacekeeper rep, unknown amount of dollars, a Milkor M32A1 grenade launcher alongside some HE grenades, which are going to be used in the grenade launcher itself. So yeah, not bad at all, especially if you want to try out grenade launchers for the first time, especially if you play PvE. And then if you choose time tested, and so that is the one that comes from protection of interest, the PMC one, you have the option of getting yourself 102,900 XP, but it does require you to use Russian weapons as opposed to the Western weapons. So that gives you the same amount of XP. It gives you 5 or 0.05 Prapor rep, unknown amount of rubles, but probably in the region of like 300k or something like that. It gives you a Kalashnikov PKP infantry machine gun, which is kind of nice. And of course, if you play PvE, your insurance will bring this back every single time. It also gives you a ton of ammunition for the PKP. So you get 7.62 by 54 ammo pack of 20 pieces, so you get 100 rounds essentially of BS. You get 10 lots of 20 pieces of BT, so 200 rounds, and then another 200 rounds of PSGZH as well. So not bad as far as quest lines go, but it's really down to you which quest that you actually want to go for. I think me personally, I'm going to try and take out the boss as opposed to going for the PMCs. But the PMCs, in terms of making the most amount of money, which is from protection of interests, will give you 4 bottles of Hatchling Moonshine, which is worth like 550k each, so about 2.2 million, something like that on PvE. So that is what will probably get you the most money, but of course it's down to your own personal preference, and maybe you actually end up taking out PMCs anyway and end up with this reward, so it's not too bad, but of course you won't get the grenade launcher at the end of the other one. So with that being said, that is literally the quest line. I think that this is a very nice addition, and I'm hoping that Tarkov will start ramping up the events and starting to introduce more events that come alongside the entire length of the wipe, and not just spamming them all at the end of the wipe, kind of periodically doing them, you know, every month, every single month, if that makes sense, and just constantly having stuff, and then of course ramping them up towards the end as well as the wipe goes on. But yeah, really excited to see how this actually goes, and of course we'll be doing a ton of content surrounding this and trying out myself as to how we can actually fare. But with that being said, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to once again like the video, and of course I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.